What is up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are y'all doing? Appreciate you coming in with me today. Thank you so much. It's going to be a interesting conversation, I'm sure. Had an interesting one last night. It was a very good stream last night, I thought. And then I went live while I was picking up some food last night, and just tried to do the mobile thing, and it was kind of crackly, and so I'm going to be playing around. I'll probably play around with that a little bit later today. I got to make sure I get off of Wi-Fi, see if maybe it's not a network problem. I don't know. So I'm going to try to work on that later on today. But so there's a new stimulus package out there. Nancy Pelosi, I guess, is pushing this one through. So I guess, and it's $3 trillion compared to Trump's little 2.2 trillion. So, yep, Pelosi's package is bigger than Trump's. But what's your, and I guess they figure that the $1,200 is enough bribery money for them to take 3 trillion from you now. So I don't know if they're just going to keep upping their end of it. So it was, we'll give you 1,200 if you give us 2 trillion, and now it's, well, we'll give you another 1,200 if you give us 3 trillion, which is going to probably end up being more like 5 trillion or $6 trillion when it all comes. Man, it's 1,800 pages long. I mean, the other one was, what was the other one? Like, it was 300 and something, right? And that took me all day Saturday to go through that massive amount of crazy spending. And so I just glanced at this one, and it just looks like they added zeros to things. So instead of like 10 million, it's 100 million. Instead of 100 million, it's a billion. So they just added zeros. I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, do people not realize that this money just doesn't, I mean, this is our money. Our government is wasting. This is wasteful government spending. And no, I'm not Democrat, Republican, either one. So what's going to happen is, this is what I see happening, and Trump has already talked about it. So this HR 6800 that the Democrats have pushed through. So it actually passed the House because it's a Democrat-controlled House, even though 14 Democrats jumped ship and decided to not vote for it. So, and what I figure is these are probably Democrats that are in battleground states that have to pull some of the conservative vote in order to win their seat again. So these are like battleground states. That's the only way that the establishment, like Nancy Pelosi and the powerful establishment within our government, like I was talking about, like Justin Amash, the video I shared yesterday or last night, I'll share it again if y'all want, where he's talking about how things are done in Congress and in the Senate, how these senior officials like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and these people have why they have all the power. They're basically the ones running the show, and so and that's the thing. So that's why I think Pelosi probably gave these 14 Democrats permission to vote against this thing, knowing that it's still going to pass Congress. And knowing that they need to win their seats in their district, which if you look, some of them I already glanced at a couple of them. I couldn't go through the whole list because it was hard to find which Democrats actually voted against the bill. But you could see that they were battleground states. I think one of them was in Michigan. So these were battleground states where Democrats need to maintain those seats in order to maintain a majority in Congress. So this coming November. So that's the plan going forward. It's all political garbage and not have anything to do with the fact that they're trying to steal $3 trillion more of our money and our kids' money and grandkids' money and great grandkids' money, going down the line, just to increase this national debt to a point where eventually it has to implode on us. It's just the way the economy works. There's an ecosystem within this economy, and you're either going to have to completely go government controlled, or it's going to have to implode and hurt everybody. So I just don't. I mean, I'm not an economist. I'm just saying that from what I've read and from what I understand of how these economic systems work, it's not going to turn out good. Uh, so yeah, it's a 3 trillion. But what really caught my eye, and I'm going to try to share it. I don't know if I'll have a chance, but contact tracing is in there. And I don't really like the way this sounds. Hey, Phil Still, is it okay to talk and ask questions? Yeah, man, just throw anything out there anytime y'all want, and I will talk about it. If I might come back to it, if I'm kind of on one of my rants or something, I might come back to it. But, yeah. If otherwise, it's gonna be real short, because I'm starting to, the way I'm gonna try to run this stream now is I'm not gonna have a whole lot of topics to talk about. I'm gonna let y'all come to me with the topics, either through previous comments on a previous stream. I might bring that into the next stream and talk about it, or through whatever comments you want to throw out there and talk about, especially on Saturday mornings, because I just got done doing this stream Friday night, so I usually don't have a whole lot of ammunition coming into Saturday morning. So, yeah, man, whatever you got, let's talk. I didn't get a chance to research anything going on the other side of the pond, over in Europe, Asia, and stuff. What news-wise is going on over there. So if there's anything you'd like to share, I might be able to browse around and find something. But yeah, I haven't really looked a whole lot. So anything you guys got? So this HR 6800 just passed last night, Congress. Whether it's not going to happen, I'm going to tell you that right now. So the way it works in the U.S. With these laws or these bills. So this is HR 6800, $3 trillion HEROES Act spending package, more stimulus money for us, basically a bribery so that they can fund a bunch of other, spending stuff that the government wants. We get 1,200, they get 3 trillion. So I don't understand how that's a fair deal, but people are okay with it, I guess, because they keep voting Democrat and Republican. So Trump has already said that he's like, we're going to help the people out, but we're going to do it a better way. So he's already said that he's not buying this thing. If you look, one of the comments on yesterday's stream was about Trump's not going to veto it. So I posted a link to a USA Today article where it basically quotes him as saying that we're gonna do this better than Pelosi can do it. Him and Pelosi, they're like, I don't know, buddies, I guess. Cheers. It's 6:45 or 6:55 here a.m. So I have my coffee. I think the family's already up. So what's going to happen is it passed the House. It's got to go to the Senate now. The Republicans control the Senate. So if somehow, some way, which I don't think it's likely, they're going to be able to get a majority to even pass the Senate, it's going to probably get kicked back from the Senate. So if by chance they did get a majority in the Senate to pass it, then it would go to the president's desk, and the president would veto it. He's already stated that he probably would, that he would veto it. And when he'll veto it, then it can come back to the Senate, and they can make changes to it or whatever. And then it has to pass with a 2/3 vote in order to override the veto. So a 2/3 vote in the Senate is 66. So that's 2/3. There's 100. You get 2 senators per state. So it's 100 senators. I think it's 99 for some reason. I don't know why, but I was reading somewhere there's only 99 senators. Like one senator is just not playing ball or something. I don't know. But anyways, so that's the deal with HR 6800. It is huge. It is 1,800 pages. It's huge. So I'm sure when the Republicans come up with their package, it's going to be even huger and probably, more pages. But I did copy it. I don't know if this is work. Like I said, I'm having trouble trying to get OBS to cooperate with me. So here it is. Here's the actual bill itself. Can I? Oh, it's going to let me interact. Okay. So yeah, here it is. It's a lot. So HR 6800. And it was introduced just, 4 days ago. Yeah. And passed 3 days, passed yesterday. So 3 days later, they're voting on it. They're trying to get this money. They're trying to get this money quick. So I don't like this because I can't search and I would have to scroll through the massive amount. Oh, it won't even let me scroll. I have to actually click on something. See, it just locked up. It just locked up. See, that's what it does. I don't know why, but so no, see, it quit. Hey, why does it do that? Oh, here we go. Let me do that instead. Okay. Okay, I can scroll again. So, yeah, you just from the table of contents, you can see economic stimulus. Of course, they put that as page one, so you can see, hey, you guys are getting money. You know, jeez, man. Additional relief for workers, net operating losses, more small business stuff, more medical provisions. Even though, I mean, the healthcare industry needs help because they lost a lot of business when they stopped allowing elective treatments. You know, we flattened that curve so much that the hospitals lost money. Livestock, dairy, because you know a lot of animals died because we weren't eating them. Yeah, that happened. Food industry got hit hard over this because all the restaurants and stuff shut down. And for a buddy of mine from Idaho was saying that like over 50% of our food production goes to the restaurant industry. The restaurant and cruise ship industry gets like a huge chunk of our food. See, it broke. See, oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at a different type of broadcasting software because this just ain't working, man. So, yep, it's there. It's not gonna work. Donald. Luck of the Irish pasta is good. In the past streams, you seemed like I was angry. No smiles, no laughter, like in the past. And yeah. Like I said in one of the comments before, I got that RB. If I'm not smiling, it looks like I'm mad, and I'm not, man. I want this stream to be lighthearted. I want you guys to. I want it to be interactive, lighthearted, educational. You know, and I want to share the concepts of liberty and how, you know, not so much how bad the government is, but how bad it is to continue to give government power, to continue to grow government power, and how much better it can be for individual citizens as we shrink government. You know, that's kind of my intent, but I want to do it in a way where it's easy to understand, lighthearted. You know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want it to be ugly and using all these negative emotions like you see on mainstream media. I mean, I really want to be the alternative to mainstream media as far as when it comes to getting your news or getting your facts. I don't want it to be sprinkled with fear and emotion and partisan politics where, you know, it's everybody pointing fingers at everybody else. It's going to be me pointing the finger at the government because I just don't believe in government power. I don't believe in total anarchy either, but I just believe that we need to shrink the power of government because as an institution, it's designed to be corrupt. So, you know, that's just kind of where we're at. Donald did send us ventilators as we now have over 85,000 cases. Phil Still, is that, where you at, New York? Where you at? 85,000. You know, why did Donald have ventilators anyways? Why did he have ventilators to begin with? Why do you think it was beneficial for the government to control the distribution of ventilators? Do you think the free market would have got them to you faster, or private charities could have got them to you faster than going through the red tape and bureaucracy of the federal government in order to receive your ventilators? So you finally got them. This thing's been, well, it's been around since November, so I don't know why we're still talking about it. But so we just started talking about it in March. So, you know, here it is 2 months later, you're finally getting some ventilators. Yeah. But they shut down all of the mobile hospitals. So apparently you flattened the curve even in New York. Hospitals didn't get overwhelmed. That hospital ship that they parked out in the harbor or whatever in New York, it just left. Didn't treat any patients or nothing. Most of the mobile hospitals are closed up now. They didn't treat any patients. That was $600 million. They just flushed down the toilet. Yeah. We've overtaken China in cases. That's India, right? But the prime minister said he made us patient. Of course. Of course. He's a businessman. You gotta get paid somehow. So he's gonna send you a bunch of ventilators and then charge you for shipping, huh? So the reason why your cases are going up is because you're testing more. That's why you're getting more cases. If I can, I'm going to try to show you all a video on herd immunity that I just shared on Facebook. It's from a doctor. Dr. Daniel Pompa talks about it. And it's a really good explanation of how herd immunity works. Yeah, I didn't know that Donald sent India ventilators. I guess we're good here then, right? I mean, we helping out other countries now. We must have really flattened the curve. So why is the economy not opening up? So, let me get this off the screen real quick. I still got the HR 6800 up here. So, let me see if I can get this to work. It would be terrific, but I don't know if I can or not. So, I think I can. I think I can.
Important this concept of herd immunity is.
Okay, I think I can. Nope, don't want to do that. I want to. Okay. This might work. It did work. All right. So this doctor's going to talk about herd immunity a little bit. He makes some really good points. So let's see.
This is the fourth time I've tried to do this video. That's how important this concept of herd immunity is. Believe me when I tell you, I want to do it tonight very short. And this is based on a lot of the comments. This is a video that I need you to share. Because I truly believe if people understand herd immunity, then this is going to change the course of this whole thing. I'm using very general words, you'll notice. I'm not saying certain words. This whole thing next year, because my biggest fear is next season. And by the way, the experts are already talking about next season, that it could be worse when this mutates. This is what you need to share and understand. Herd immunity. Okay, now, I think we're going to get this time. I'm going to do a really good job, I promise. Okay, so I'm not going to say this word. We're going to say when this pathogen, okay, you see the word, when this pathogen affects somebody, this somebody affects this somebody, this somebody, this somebody, this somebody, this somebody, and you understand how it spreads. That's easy. But what we have to keep in mind is this. The people with the circles are people who got this, right, pathogen, and they didn't know it. They never had symptoms. And they're estimating that's about 75% of the people. Now that we're able to actually look at antibodies, and they're realizing these people have them. They've been exposed. However, Okay, so you can be exposed, and when you were actually able to transmit the disease, that means you had something called an IgM antibody. You were actually contagious. Okay, so these people spread the virus. Now let's go down here. This is the way herd immunity works. This is the important part. This is the way this thing ends. And more important for us is that when we have natural herd immunity, this virus next year will not affect us the same. And I'm going to explain that more, but follow me. So what happens is the pathogen comes in, it affects this person. Okay, then this person gets in contact with this person who has had the disease. Now maybe they got sick, because some of these people, this person got symptoms, this person didn't, but they ended up both getting the sickness, and then they ended up getting these antibodies that now just means
That's
they
supposed to be
were
IgG.
exposed. Here's what they represent. So once you have the IgG antibody, that means you were exposed. Whether you express symptoms or not, you were exposed. Now you become a block for the virus. You become a stop gate. So this person now affects this person. He can't affect anymore. This person affects this person. He can't. Okay, he finds one. The virus finds one that he affects, but then this person can't affect another person or another person, but he finds one. But eventually this person finds this person, but it blocks here, he blocks here, here. You get the point. Is that when you have the IgG antibody from exposure, that's important, right? Whether you had symptoms or not, from exposure, then this is how it stops. Look, the flu doesn't stop every year because we came up with a chemical.
The process he's talking about is how when you have the antibody, when you have recovered from the virus, whether you showed symptoms or not, you now have the antibody. If you get in contact with somebody that has the virus stops with you. In other words, if we continued with social distancing and the quarantine rules, if we're quarantining people that are already have had the virus, like I suspect I have. So if you quarantine me, then I am not out there as a block from people who have the virus to people who have never had the virus. Does that make sense? Like if you allow the people that have antibodies out there, then they stop the virus from transmitting to the people who haven't, who don't have the antibodies. So now you have these blocking points out there preventing the spread from going wild. Does that make sense? So that's kind of the point he's getting at here.
To put in us, okay, inject in us. No, it doesn't, because it mutates several times throughout the year. How it stops is this way, herd immunity. That's how it stops. And then the flu season goes on. Here's what I have to get you to understand. Yes, this is how we control these pathogen spreads. But also, once you have this IgG, let's say next year, because you might say to yourself, Dr. Pompa, wait a minute, though, if I have this antibody that lines up, IgG, I just put IgM though twice, so that's a G, I'm sorry. IgM is meaning you're active, IgG means you had it in the past. So if you had the IgG, it might not line up with this particular virus next year because it mutates. But here's the point, is your antibodies see it and go, okay, this is very similar to last year, but it changes very rapidly. Most people won't even get sick. Some of them might get sick, but very mild. Those without the IgG antibodies, if this thing mutates, which it has over 300 times, they said, next year could be worse. That's my fear. So what do we do about it? There's not anything that we can really do or take. The key is having these antibodies that can change to the mutated pathogen. That is the key. So I am not proposing that someone in the risk category go out and get exposed. That's not what I'm saying. You should stay home if you feel that you are at risk. Those of us who are healthy, kids, healthy people, exposure, getting the antibody is the golden goose here. This is what we need to do to prepare. So the point is this. I'm not the only one saying. There's many experts now saying that this is what has to happen. And
That's what Sweden
exposure
went
is
for.
important. Look, the goal was always, I don't know if we can see this, but the goal was always to flatten the curve, right? That we would flatten it out so we didn't overwhelm the hospitals. We crushed the curve. The point is that now we flatten the curve. Now we need to build natural immunity. Please share the video. I'm going to keep it short to that point so you can share it and people get it. And this way, it alleviates the fear in the understanding of it's good to get these antibodies. I hope that helps. Share the video.
So yeah, so that's Dr. Daniel Pompa. You know, he's a chiropractor, but the thing about chiropractors is they're really into natural medicine. So it's they're into the body's ability to heal itself, and it's like a huge thing. I mean, I didn't know about it until just a few years ago, but yeah, it's the whole naturopathic method. So what he's talking about, and the reason why I know people are screaming about vaccines and stuff like that, and forced vaccines, and I'm not getting them. I'm just saying, you're not. No, I'm a libertarian. You're not forcing a vaccine on me. I haven't taken a flu shot since I retired from the Army 7 years ago, and I haven't gotten the flu. Why is that? Why does the flu shot not work every single time? Because these viruses mutate, and if you don't have if you don't have the antibodies in your body from fighting it off at some point, then those antibodies can't mutate with the virus when the virus mutates. And vaccines can't do that. Vaccines take a virus, a dead virus, inject it into your body with the hopes of building antibodies to that particular strain of the virus, but it doesn't take into account the mutations, and they're only temporary. Most vaccines are only temporary. You know, your immune system building antibodies naturally, like your God-given ability to be immune to things, is permanent. So let me get back into chat here. It was an outrageous number in shipping. I'm curious how much he charged y'all for shipping. And did Trump himself actually charge shipping? Like, you're all going to pay me $1 billion for shipping. I don't know. I can't do Trump very well, so. Good morning. Hey, thanks for the latest Devolvey episode. My kids and neighbors like his work. They want to do it too, which is great because my child is very shy. So to hear him say he wants to make videos, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Devolvey loves doing it. He likes making videos. I shot that one and I did it real quick because it seemed like it had been a while. So Evolve sent me a script, and I was like, all right, so I knew it had been a while and people were asking for it. So I shot it real quick. I got him in here, and we just did a couple of, literally I shot that whole thing in probably 30 minutes to an hour. We went through it and stuff. So it might not have had all the flair that it had before, or the energy and stuff, because really it was done like last second. Really just wanted to get something out there to the people who really like seeing Devolvey's work. So hopefully I got some ideas I might do and send to Evolve and see if he wants to do some more Devolvey stuff. I think he could do a lot with kids topics, like playground bullies and character and friends, stuff like that. I just had a good idea for one too. The thing that really bothers me as a father, as a parent, about this whole pandemic thing, this whole quarantine thing, is to a 6 and a 7 year old, because that's what I have. I have a 6 and a 7 year old, and a month to them is a huge chunk of their life. I was explaining this to my pastor about what really bothers me, and it's a huge, and to be socially isolated from their friends. They're not around their friends at school now. We're not going to church, so they're not around their friends at church. So they're so limited in their social interactions with their friends, and they don't understand. And the amount of time that this is taking is a huge chunk of their life. I don't know if you remember being 6, 7 years old, but when your parents would ground you for a month, that seemed like forever. And you know, and that's you know, that's really what's bothering. I mean, for us, I'm 48 years old. Me, you know, I've been to the field for more than a month, so it's, you know, in the army, I've been deployed for, you know, 6 months, 9 months, a year. I mean, what difference does it make to me? It's a drop in the bucket. But to a 6, 7 year old, a month is a long time. So yeah, Bill Duvall touched my heart. Yeah, yeah. He really when he it's funny because, you know, these are they're scripted, but you can tell when it's something that he understands, you know, as a 7 year old. And I like that, you know, when he really understands something, and especially when he believes in it, and you know, when he gets that understanding, it really comes out in the video. So I like that when he does, like, the little smile that he says when he's like, I want to learn for me, you know. People are so scared of herd immunity, but it's the only way we've survived for millennia. Uh, as a human race. It's the only way that the human race has survived. Vaccines have not saved us. It's herd immunity that has always saved us. You know, the bubonic plague is still around. People still catch it. You know, H3N2, which was a pandemic flu in 1968, it's still around and it still kills people every year. But the reason why it isn't a pandemic anymore is because of herd immunity. Because there's so many people that are out there with the antibodies to it, it blocks it from getting to the majority of the population. Herd immunity is literally how the human race has survived. Not by containment or quarantine or anything else. It's herd immunity that has kept it's our innate intelligence, our God-given ability to fight off infections and viruses and diseases. It is. It's granted to us by our Creator. It's going to be a better system than anything that man can produce. So, yes, it'd be good to Devolve do another Eminem episode. Do you know 37% of Eminem's sales and fans has been recorded to be India? Oh, really? 37%? That's cool. Devolve doing Eminem stuff. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with y'all. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't get a, and that's cool. You guys are Eminem fans, but he's 7 years old. You know, I'm not sure he needs to be involved in that. You know what I mean? In that environment. So, you know, I'm responsible for his consumption. If you'd caught my video yesterday, I was talking about consumption. Now, you are what you eat, they say, right? What I say, you are what you consume, and when you consume something, you consume it through your eyes, through your ears, and of course through what you eat. But you know, what you're watching and what you're listening to becomes part of who you are and becomes part of your personality. So, you know, and I'm responsible for what he chooses to consume. Now, when he gets, you know, at this young of an age, I want to control that. But as you know, as he grows older, I want to release more control for him. But at 7 years old, I'm not sure if that's the time for an introduction to music or consumption of that type of material. I mean, I don't get him heavily involved in politics or anything either. It's just not something he needs to be playing and being around other kids and, you know, Minecraft and Legos and stuff. You know, the kid stuff, man. I just don't see his mental and emotional growth as being benefited by dealing with that stuff. If there's a script where he's just basically saying words and it really doesn't have any meaning behind it, you know, like if he wanted to give me a script of, I think one of them was things that Eminem fans say. You know what I mean? So if it was something like that where it's just a bunch of, you know, fan words thrown out there and there's nothing in particular, but I don't want him to get, I just don't feel comfortable with him getting involved in that arena. I hope that makes sense. You know what I mean? Good point about flu shot and mutations. Yes, Dr. Pompa. He's like I said, he's a chiropractor, but I encourage you to look him up. Dr. Daniel Pompa. He's a really naturopathic guy. He's very faith based too. I'm surprised he didn't put anything. I think because he wants that video to get around, and he's afraid it would get stomped if he actually put any faith into it. Any religious or references to God. But I mean, it's really, he's a real believer in our body's ability to heal itself, and he got me there too. So. Wow, it looked good for just 30 minutes. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. The video. Yeah, Devolvy's video. Yeah, it was like maybe an hour. It might have took me an hour to shoot that. And like I said, and it'll get better. I'll get better. Volvy gave me some pointers and stuff. Like I should have took the case off my phone. That's why he was real quiet. Because I think I filmed it. I shot it with my phone, and I think the case covers up the mic a lot. So yeah, next time I'll do that, and then and I'll take my time a little bit more if he sends me something sooner. I just figured that people really wanted some Devolvy out there, and it was really a quick shoot anyway. So just to kind of see how it would work. But yeah, I think there'll be some more stuff come out. We love Eminem in India. Why do you think that is? Why do you think India is big Eminem fans? I'm just curious, I like y'all's music. There's one y'all are probably gonna laugh. Y'all probably gonna laugh at me because you're Eminem fans. So when I say her name, if I can remember her name, it's she's real pretty. She's a pop star in India. What is her name? It's like SH something. Let me see if I can look it up. See, this is. No, actually, it's I can't pronounce this. I think this is her name. No, Saragama? Saragama? Does that ring a bell? Really? So Eminem tours India, doesn't tour here. I know, right? I haven't seen him come around in a while, so. That's funny. So yeah, that's with Devolvy's videos. It's just going to be something I'm going to have to play by ear. So, but Evolve knows my intent with that, and so I think there'll be stuff come out. So it's just like I said, that's my priority. My boys are my priority above all else. Is that's my legacy. So I got to take care of that. So. What else y'all want to talk about? What I want to talk about, if anybody else chimes in, is so we had a little debate on a private group, Libertarian group that I belong to, about the Electoral College. If you're from Europe and Asia, you probably aren't familiar with the Electoral College, but it basically is so when we vote, it's voted by territory. So it's a popular vote that gets, so like each state has a certain number of electorates. So as the state votes, those electorates get added to the total. And the reason for that is it's not a popular vote. So the popular vote doesn't win the presidency in the United States. It's based off of electoral colleges. So that's why a lot of the Iowa and stuff like that is so important, is because they need those are Those are tipping points in order to win the Electoral College vote. So it's a lot, if you look it up, it's probably a lot easier explained that way. So the reason why I say a third party is actually the good and the bad is it's good to have a third party in there. If we had more third party candidates, like especially Libertarian candidates in the Senate and the House, then those powers that be, the old senior crackly people like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, who have all the power in the Senate and in Congress, they would have to, if we had enough Libertarian, we don't even need a majority. If we just had 10 or 12 or maybe 30 or so in Congress, 10 or 12 in the Senate, then they would have to pander to that Libertarian minority in order to get anything passed. So it's the same thing now. If they want to get anything through the Senate, the Democrats have to pander to the Republicans because the Republicans have the majority. But if there was a third party in there, they would have to pander to that third party. The third party would really be the deciding factor in whether anything got through the Senate or the House, even if they weren't a majority. If they just had enough seats in order to tip the vote one way or another, they would literally, virtually, I should say, control Congress and the Senate without even having a majority. Now that's the benefit of having a third party, is that they can be that deciding factor, especially if it's a individual rights libertarian third party that's in there. So the negative part about it is, on a presidential scale, if a third party could literally win with 34% of the vote. If they got 34 and the other two parties got 33, then the third party could win with a 34% of the vote, which would leave 66% of the country as losers, as not getting the person that they wanted as president. So literally the majority of the country would not have the president that they wanted. So just something I'm throwing out there. So. No. HR 6666 was the Trace Act. So that was specifically for, and this is for Michelle. It's called the HEROES Act, not the HR 6666 now. So HR 6666 is still out there. That was the Trace Act. That's providing funding for contact tracing and different organizations to do contact tracing. As far as I know, it hasn't went away. But there is some contact tracing in HR 6800. HR 6800 is the HEROES Act. You notice how they use these CARES Act, HEROES Act, it's all pandering to your emotion, man. It's all this subliminal pandering that they do to make you feel okay with handing over your rights or handing over your money, or just further letting them expand on their, power base. It's just, why don't you name it for what it is? HR 6800, the Waste Act. That's what they should call it, the Waste Act. So, okay, I don't have anything up right now, so. Yeah, it's the HR 6800. So I was looking up before the stream. There's actually in subtitle D. I don't know if I can actually. Wait. Let me see. I can link it. I can share this section. Let's see if that works. Okay, I copied the link. So let me see if I can put this in here. This is actually the part on contact tracing. Yeah, contact tracing initiative. Let's bring it up. So this is. I haven't read through it either. Like I said, I just woke up this morning and tried to get something together for y'all we could talk about. So if it's HR 6800, like I said, the chances of this thing getting passed, I kind of, it might even be a waste of time even going over. But there's there's probably going to be something really similar to it that the Republicans try to put through, and then that'll probably get blocked in Congress. So yeah, we're back to party politics again. The whole hugging and loving thing that happened with the first CARES Act that cost us $2.2 trillion so we could get that little $1,200 check in the bank. So all the lovey-doveyness over that is over. We're actually taking roll call votes now, like Thomas Massey tried to demand for that one, which I'm curious how that would have went. I'm curious now, but it's too late, But we were all in that panic mode, where we weren't worrying about all this constitutional stuff. It was emergency. We had to flatten the curve. We had to flatten the curve. Did we flatten it? We wasted $600 million on, $600 million wasted on, mobile hospitals. So, but hey, it is what it is. Strengthen the public health surveillance. See, why do they got to use that surveillance word? They do know that just gives like some people the EBGBs when the government uses surveillance. So let's see what this says. Identify specific strategies for ensuring contact tracing activities in medically underserved populations. Okay, so that's race and ethnic populations. Strengthen the existing public health surveillance. Strengthen the existing public health surveillance system. Oh, see? It froze up on me again. I can't scroll. It's irritating. But if I refresh it, then I should be able to scroll again. Of course, it put me all the way back at the beginning again. Why did it do that for? Well, it was D. So it was subsection D. Oh, see if it won't even let me. So why is it in here? See, froze up again. God, man, I hate OBS. Irritating. Not later than 14 days after the enactment of this act, the Secretary, coordinating with federal agencies as appropriate, shall issue guidance, provide technical assistance, and provide information to state and localities. Respect to a diagnostic serological testing of individuals identified through contact tracing for COVID-19, including information with respect to the reduction of duplication-related programmatic best practices regarding contact tracing, include a collection of data with respect to such contact tracing requirements related to the standardization of demographic and syndromic information collected as part of contact tracing efforts. Let me scroll, man. Won't let me scroll. I wonder if it's just too big. This 1,800 page thing is too big. But I'm looking at it now. Electoral college, it's not really complicated. So, and it does work for large population centers. So it's not so each, based on population, each state gets a certain amount of electorates. So you win the state. So but you can think of it as like little counties. So each individual state gets a certain amount of electorates that. In the larger population of the state, the more electorates. And so you win the state if you win the majority of the electorate. So just think of it as each state is divided up into territories, like little counties or whatever you want to call it, and each county counts as one vote. So, Texas has 38 electorates. So if the president, this is only for president now, president, vice president, so for the executive branch. So everything else is popular vote. So if you win the majority of the electorates in the state, then you win the state and you collect all the electorates from that state. So that's how it works. So that's why they really campaign a lot. That's why California is such a big deal, because they got like 150 electorates over there. So it really keeps the Democrats in the race every single season, is the California and New York. But if it was a popular vote, then California and New York. So this is the argument, So Iowa and Idaho and Wyoming and all these really small populated middle America, they're actually important because you can win the election by winning middle America. You get enough electoral votes just from there, and you can win the election for president, vice president. So instead of like the popular vote, if it was based off a popular vote, then only the major metropolitan areas would be important to the president or vice president. So they wouldn't have to pander to anybody but California, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, like that. Devolvy's here. They liked your video, dude. Tell them thank you. They were digging on your Devolvy video. Did you just wake up? Yeah.
I woke up at 5.
Oh, did you?
Since you made a lot of noise, the tapping on your keyboard.
I wasn't up at 5. You didn't wake up at 5 because I didn't wake up at 5.
I woke up the same thing as you.
I don't know, it was like 6 something. 6 something. Sorry,
Well,
I didn't mean to wake you up.
Well, that means I fell asleep in your guys' room for 1 hour.
USA are spoiled. No, so the bill, it's not going to pass. That's what I was getting at, was the Republican. So this is the Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats introduced this bill. It's a huge spending bill. So $1,200 is now costing us another $3 trillion. So spoiled? No. I don't understand how costing $3 trillion to get $1,200 is spoiled. I don't understand that. I think most would probably just rather go back to work or open their businesses back up or start traveling again. But it's not going to pass anyways because it's a Democrat-introduced bill. The Republicans own the Senate, so the majority of the Senate is Republican. So it's probably not even going to pass the Senate. And even if somehow the Democrats could sway some Republicans to vote for it, which isn't likely because it's such a massive spending bill, and Republicans are supposed to be conservative. Supposed to be. They're not really, but so they're supposed to be the smaller government, less spending people. But even if they were managed to get it past the Senate, then the president has already said in so many words that he's going to veto it. He's like, we can do it a much better way. We have much better ways of giving you your money and stealing your money at the same time. I'm sorry, I can't do Trump very good. Was that a good Trump? No. Little Devolvy said no. It wasn't good Trump. So, that's the deal. I am going to be... So is that what you're talking about? Just because they're going to give us some more money, we're spoiled? That's fine. I don't know. I've always been interested in how the rest of the world views Americans and the U.S. I've traveled all over the world, and it's always interesting to me. But we are a very diverse population. So some people definitely probably are spoiled. Some people are definitely probably ignorant. I mean, some people are kind and generous and intelligent. It's a wide variety of people here, as I'm sure there are in your neck of the woods. So, I'm going to wrap this thing up. You got anything you want to say? What do you want to do a video on next, Devolvi?
Did I do one of the coronavirus?
You want to do a? You did, but we haven't published that one yet.
Ugh.
We haven't figured. It was only 13 seconds long, so it's hard to take a 13-second video and make something out of it.
13. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I thought we do 15 or 10.
What about on like the playground and stuff? What do you think about, like, how are things on the playground when you're at school? Is it cool? Is it fun? Do you get along with the other kids? Are there some bullies out there?
Yes.
What do they do? Girls? Girls that are bullies? Girl bullies.
They chase me around trying to hit me.
Well, that's not cool. Are you faster than them?
No. One of them is faster than me.
Oh, just one of them?
Yeah. There's 3 of them, so 2 of them are. Yeah. That's.
So what do you do about it?
I try to go faster than Jason because I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're pretty fast.
Jason is pretty fast. And Jason is faster than that girl. So you go in the mountain, then come down so I can be faster. She'll wait down because she's slow when I go uphill.
I see. So you read my notes? You read my notes? Anyways, we'll wrap it up. Go have some breakfast with my family before they head off to go hang out with Grandmama. You guys going to see Grandmama today?
Yep.
Yeah. So appreciate all the love and support. Thank you so much. Be sure to post some comments, share the video, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much. This is kind of a short one, but didn't have a whole lot to say. I enjoyed the chat. Appreciate all the love for Devolvi, and y'all have a great weekend. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.